Hello, good afternoon to those of you who are viewing with me this evening. I do not need to introduce myself, however, I do need to apologize for the chopped appearance. I'm actually under the weather a bit at this moment. However, I do have to share with you something as I do need your help. I do need your help desperately so. So I promised you guys a few weeks back, I posted a presentation on safe sex, and I promised you guys that I do have a presentation to give. No, this is not that presentation. What this is just a little showcase of something to expect and a challenge thrown out to you by me, right? So why am I here this evening? I am here this evening to show you a skeletal, I guess, demo. And I say skeletal because this is not in its final appearance or final form. This is quite literally just some components on a breadboard that are actually working, right? And the reason for this is because I want you to see this and get interested, and I'm going to challenge you to take that interest and gather some questions, and then I will try and post a final completed presentation on the 13th or the 14th. I'm looking at my calendar. I'm not sure, but it should be the 14th, the latest. Now, this presentation on that day will have the complete works, the final works. Everything will look so good. It will look so good, you know? And you guys are probably gonna be like, hey, how does it look this good? Well, look this good because it is actually important. This is my major project, I guess, presentation, and it is a thing where we do in university, obviously. Or well, for our department, electrical department, we have teams that do different prototypes, different projects. We actually take on real world projects, and we, I guess, showcase what we have learned for the 4 or 5 or how much accursed years you've been here. God knows if you've learned anything. I guess you come here and you show these guys that you actually learned something and you are actually going to present to investors. And that is why I need your help to help us prepare. Not only me, well, I'm here speaking with you alone this evening, but I'm hoping on the day I could get these guys, the rest of the team, to sit down with me. So maybe I can get Kobe and Matthew to sit down with me here and answer some questions on video, because guess what, I'm not on video right now because I want to be on video or because I think I'm handsome or anything. Nah, I don't care about that. I am here to get my practice, because me talking to a camera is basically me talking to a presenter on a day, and I may be talking to someone on the side of that screen that I do not know. And if I can grab your attention right now, then chances are I'm going to be able to grab your attention in a room directly. So, this is why I'm here with you. Now, let's speak about what my project entails. So, here's the problem. So, Jamaica is a very small country. We know this, right? Everybody know each other. Fine, we're not talking about population here, but we're talking about in terms of our production, and or let's talk about our agriculture sector. So, we had this insane hurricane. What was the name of it? I don't remember her name. It was a her, right? She came and she did her deed. Category 5, she did her deed. And you know, a lot of livestock, a lot of farming things were lost. But actually, surprisingly, Jamaica bounced back very quickly. I don't know if you guys realize, but a lot of these things that were short have now surfaced fully back into, I guess, the system. Lettuce, tomato prices are actually ridiculous right now for tomato, like cheap. So we're working in the agricultural field, and what we're presenting is a solar powered irrigation system with IoT. And IoT in this sense mean Internet of All Things. Now, what that is basically like a cloud. I'm gonna try to relate this simple. It's like a cloud. That means you can stay wherever you are and pull up your phone, and you have everything that's happening on your system back in St. Elizabeth, Trelawney, or wherever you might be, or your farm might be located inside Jamaica. Now, The reason for this is simple. Currently, and from our studies, a lot of farmers are actually using manual methods. So they're actually getting buckets and little pans and might be dripping, and it's actually some pretty crazy stuff that happen in Jamaican agriculture that I don't know if you guys know about. Some people get something they call mulch, and they like they would get some dry grass, and they wet the dry grass and they like put it on in the farms, and I'm just using dry grass, but these over time give the soil and the plants water, which is very good for their growing and their health, right? No one wants to eat a lettuce that is underdeveloped, no. And so the manual labor is very taxing on the body, and let's be honest, if you have several acres of land or several acres of farm, let's be honest, you're probably not doing that alone as a farmer, so you're probably getting outsiders to do it for you. Why do it when the rest of the world is automating it, eh? And then you have the next segment of people that actually use they call them petroleum pumps, or some of you might know them as diesel pumps, right? And these pumps are very good, but diesel, smoke, air, the ozone layer, the money is what I like to talk about. The money, it's very costly. It's very costly. Let's run some basic math. If you have 12 acres of land, and let's just stick to 1 acre of land, and you pay like $10,000 a month for diesel. That's a lie, by the way. And most of you might realize that that's a lie. When the hurricane came the other day, and y'all had to, who had generators or had any semblance or anything that needed gasoline, had to run to the gas station. You realize how the ching didn't make any sense. Yeah. So, well, that was gas, but some people might have had diesel, right? Even though diesel burns more efficient than gas, it does add up in the long run. So let's say you're spending $10,000 a month. Over the course of a year, that's 12 months, you're spending $120,000. And something that never gets cheaper. It only gets more expensive as we go on. I mean, we have Trump now with war in Iran, so of course oil prices are going up, and I don't see them coming down anytime sooner. But guess what? It is what it is. Now we have sunlight every day. As a matter of fact, I went out today and I was dying. The sun was out there doing the most, and so it is an absolute waste for us to have our solar energy and not do anything. And then when people think about solar, some of you guys might be thinking, but that's expensive. It is. But guess what? Your return on investment is so much more better. Because hey, if you spend with us $300,000 right now, that would be, and my hypothetical situation never happens. Trust me, it never happens. $10,000 a month, ridiculous. That never happens. So that would take you roughly 8 months or something like that. 8-9 months to pay off that, and then after that, the growth is so it's exponential. It's a one-time setup, a 5-year maintenance. So I think it works, right? Now, let's speak about how we actually get to do what we do, and I'm gonna be showing you some components on the board and speak about some components now, right? So here we have it. This is what we have. We have a microcontroller, and this is a microcontroller is basically a little thing in a little black box. Think of this like a little mini computer, right? So think of it like this computer. And by the way, this is a software. Think of it like a little mini computer. It gives you the ability to automate things, take a bunch of electrical devices and have them work together. So right here we have a bunch of electrical devices, and so this is allowing us to let these work together. Now I could actually pull up my diagram in the meantime to show you a diagram, even though I said I wasn't going to do any of this. but might as well, right? So we have our ESP32, right? And we chose this we chose this microcontroller because it's a very common microcontroller in the scene, and it actually has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So everyone has, well, most people have a smartphone. But let's talk about farmers. Some farmers have smartphone, but some farmers don't. And so you heard me before say that we give them the ability to communicate with the system. So you might be wondering how, if they don't have a smartphone and they don't have any type of smartphone, then how can they communicate? Well, it's simple. They'll be communicating to the system through what's called a GSM module. Now, what a GSM module is basically like your SIM card in your phone. So this is it carries a SIM card at the back here, and every system comes with a GSM module. It's part of the system. It's not optional. It's part of the system, because the whole thing is that we're selling you not a dream, but we're selling you an effective way to communicate and save some money. And the more money you save and the more efficiency again, the better your result will be for your crops, right? So we're gonna use a GSM module to communicate with our system, right? And here we have a sensor. Let me go in some level of order so you guys aren't. So first, let me show you a little. My God, why can I not find this diagram? All right. Oh my God. All right. So here we have a little diagram here, right? And what you see in here is this. Cool, but you're just seeing the ugly aspects of it, right? I get it. For the girls, this might not be anything that you're interested in because it looks ugly, right? That's fine. Don't worry about it. On the 13th, you see something that you'll absolutely fall in love with, right? Not me, but the project. All right, so here we have a reservoir, and on our project, this is a bucket. Now, let's not think about what it actually is. Let's talk about the fact that it's an uncontrolled water source, right? So it is anything that is natural, like a river or a stream or whatever. We're gonna have a submersible pump that is inside of that, and it's gonna pump to our tank, right? So our tank. This is not our controlled water source, but we do need a controlled water source because, hey, I can't control if God decide that, hey man, this river is gonna dry up, but I can control how much water is inside of this tank. And based off of what's happening here, I absolutely have more control over my system. Plus, the orientation of my tank can decide if I want to gravity feed my lines or I actually want to pressure feed my lines. We went with an option to pressure feed our lines. Why? Because we want to have pressure on the lines at all times. At every moment, every turn, we want to have pressure on the lines. And because this helps us to consistently monitor the flow rate. This is something that we're going to talk about here. The flow rate. So the flow rate is just it's gonna sound stupid, but just the rate at which liquid flows, right? In let's say our pipes in this situation, right? So we're gonna be monitoring that, and this is actually very, very important for us, and you will see here why in a sec. So we come here and we have our lines. Now this line is like one segment or one quadrant of the farm, and this line is a second quadrant or whatever. Cool. So every line consists of a flow sensor. We just talked about the flow sensor, right? That's every line. Every line consists of a solenoid valve, right? And these, after every solenoid valve, we're gonna have drip irrigation. So earlier I talked about drip irrigation and our irrigation in the sense that farmers were throwing water manually, or your pump might do whatever. We're not seeking to replace in the pumping section. We're not seeking to replace the type of irrigation that you do. We're just trying to make it more efficient and more cleaner. So cleaner energy, right? So our perforated pipes have small holes inside of them, right? And they go to like things like a sweet pepper, your tomatoes, etc., 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 right? And our flow sensor, our solenoid valve, let's talk about solenoid valve because I kind of already talk about flow sensor. Our flow sensor is just what's measuring our flow rate, right? And our solenoid valve is what gives each section access to water, right? So Now, inside of these fields, you have these little beautiful things that we call a moisture sensor. Ouch! I just got shocked. A moisture sensor, right? And this moisture sensor is gonna maintain or report to you the moisture of the soil. So when our soil is too dry, we need to add water. It doesn't take a genius to know that, right? So we need to add water. Now this is always speaking about the field aspect. Now that we have an idea of what we're dealing with, we can go back to the board. So our soil is reported by our soil sensor, our moisture for our soil. Then it goes to our ESP32, and our ESP32, after we set the threshold at which we want a pump to come in, we say, hey, the soil is too dry, so we need to pump water to wherever this soil sensor is located. Fine. It go boom, relay turns on. This is a relay. This is a relay, and what this does is that this allows us to turn off and on anything inside of a system. So a relay is quite literally just a switch. So you see that they have in your house? It's like that. It's like this is the relay is like it, but it's an electrical relay. So it works off binary ones and zeros at the core. Cool? Fine. Got that. Little bit of digital electronics for our electrical people right here. Cool. And our relay will say, alright, let's turn on the relay for the pump, and you will have our pump or pressure pump here. Turn on the relay for a pressure pump, and the pressure pump will pump. Now, at the time of it pumping, if it needs to pump, our solenoid valve here will open for that segment, and this is our solenoid valve. It will open and allow water to flow for that segment, and this will be in series, meaning that water will be flowing through this at all times, so that we can measure the how much water or the rate at which water is flowing, right? Cool. And that's basically the farm. Sounds very, very simple and short. Love that, right? And as I said before, you communicate via the GSM module. So hey, let's talk about the GSM module now. Alright, so our GSM module allows us to communicate, right? However, we can communicate with the system in a number of different ways. Like, for example, I can be in Hawaii and I can say, okay, I check the status of my system, and it reports to me via text message or the app that, hey man, listen, the system is in manual mode. So you have several modes. You have three modes. You have manual mode. You have manual mode, which is basically you controlling the system. Now, reason for this is because a lot of some farmers actually do not they want the return on the investment, but they say they don't trust the technology. Yeah, and you cannot fight people, because guess what? If I say, okay, man, I'm not gonna give you that, well, then I'll practically be selling to no one. And if I just force you to use something that you don't like, then that's not necessarily nice, is it? Or that's not necessarily good for my business or my plan, right? So we have a manual mode, we have a semi-automatic mode, and we have a fully automatic mode. Now, in a fully automatic mode, you do nothing. You do absolutely nothing. The only thing that you might need to do is that if you don't have a control source or an uncontrolled source, you ensure that you check the level on your tank, or top up your tank whenever a system say, hey man, you need to top up your tank. Now, the semi-automatic mode is basically where we automate some parts of the system. So it might automate the reporting aspect of it, right? Well, that's natural. But we might automate the pump protecting itself whenever it doesn't have enough water in the tank. So we might automate it and say, okay, if water falls below a certain level, the tank will turn off. And that's for protection, because if you pump dry run, then your pump is going to pretty much get burned. It's going to be burnt out. Sorry. So that's semi-automatic, and then they have some aspects where they can also like turn on the valve for different segments of the field, because some farmers actually express that they won't trust the system to water the plant as good as they would But obviously I am the manufacturer and I am the designer, so I am obviously biased, and I'm just gonna say, well, that is absolutely preposterous, because hey, you cannot tell me that I'm using engineering, science, math for utmost efficiency, right? And you're more efficient than the machine. Nah, something ain't right there. Because let's think about this logically. If you're taking a chubby bottle of water, I'm guaranteed some plants are gonna be less moisture than some. And let's not even talk about. I'll give you the advantage. Let's say you're some god and you manage to fill the chubby bottle at the exact level. Listen, you only know what you can see. I doubt everyone's going there and poking the dirt and be like, oh, this feels about this moist. Nah, no one's doing that. Let's be honest, no one's doing that. And if you can, then obviously it won't be as accurate as me having an actual sensor that tells me exactly how accurate the moisture is. Yeah, it's that simple. Science is lovely, right? So we gave them the option to have a semi-automatic mode, and when where our hopes and dream is that they might use it for the semi-auto for like a month or a couple weeks, and they're like, oh my god, this is so insane, I love this, can we switch over to automatic? And we say, no problem, you don't even need to contact us, you just need to send auto to the system and the system will automatically switch to automatic. No, my video is getting a bit long. What else would I need to say to you guys? Okay, let's talk about the 13th or the 14th actually. So, I said on the 14th, I'm going to present you guys with a final presentation. And this is a little bit of mock-up. I didn't show you the solar panels. The battery that you saw was a solar battery. So it does get charged and discharged, and it's reusable, obviously. Might not be so obvious, but whatever. I'm trying to get on my thoughts here. So yes, the 14th I'm gonna be presenting, and hopefully, as I say, it's me and the guys will be here, and this is my challenge to you right now. Based off everything that you have heard so far, I need you to, if you don't have any interest, no problem, you can just skip along, you can just skip that. Yeah, fine, I have no use for you, you have no use for me, right? But in case you are interested, I need you to actually go and get me some questions. Get me some troublesome questions, really. Because on the day that we go in and we have this beautiful project, we'll absolutely be great. We'll have investors that are there, and trust me, I welcome all questions. No questions are stupid. So bring any questions that you can find, and I'll ask you questions. And then we're gonna sit here on camera and we're gonna try and answer your questions, right? We're not gonna try, we're gonna answer your questions, right? We're gonna ensure that you trust what you're seeing, you like what you're seeing, and then I'm gonna give you an opportunity to interact with this system yourself. I'm not sure about you guys interacting with the SMS aspect, because that cost is on me, right? And I guess I could limit everyone to one SMS, but it wouldn't really make any sense. I would demonstrate the SMS to you in the next presentation, but I will not give you access to the SMS. What I will give you access to, if I have time, is the web version, where you can go, and don't expect any fancy website. I did not go to school to do web development, and I'm certainly not gonna hit up anyone and say, hey, I'll pay. No, I'm sorry, we don't have that. All our money went towards this project. We don't have any kind of dollars for front-end development at this point. So when you go on our website, I'm gonna try my best to not let it be laggy or buggy. Don't expect the most insane website. Listen, we're not Google, and we're certainly not any type of superpower. We're a startup company. We're three UTech guys at that, three broke university students. Sure, if you guys want to fund this, hey, I welcome it, right? So we're gonna give you a chance on that day to interact with the app, which is gonna be this kind of web app that allows you to toggle the system in real time. I'm going to, as a safety hazard, have cooldown on your commands and your interaction for each user because it's one system, and I do not want you guys to be spamming or relays or solenoids. You know, these things are very delicate in a sense, and we don't want them to be overworked. Obviously, you know, I don't want them to be overworked because on the day, I don't want it to be chopped. So maybe this was not a good idea, but it's kind of a way of getting you to interact with the system and give me your opinion, because on the day investors will be interacting with the system actually, and they might find bugs that you guys might find before, and give us the opportunity and the time to fix and patch them and plan, right? So that's my challenge to you. Get some information, ask some questions, ask any type of question related to this. So I don't want anyone coming here and ask me, how are you today? Listen, how am I? I am about the ESP32 and the solar IoT system. That's how I am that day. Ask me any questions, ask us any question about this system. You can go and research the board, ask us questions about the board. I'm using an ESP32. I can give you a parts list now. I'm using a ESP32. I'm using a Echo. What was this? An AJSR04M, and that's the Echo. Jesus, the Echo controller. It's a control. Why can't I remember this word? It shoots waves, ultrasonic. Yes, it's an ultrasonic sensor. It shows ultrasonic waves in order to tell the distance between stuff. We're using several 12-volt relays. We're powered by a, what's the rating on the solar panel? We're powered by a, give me a moment. We're powered by a 20-watt solar panel, and we have a 12-volt battery, rechargeable solar battery, tropical. We have 12-volt solenoids. We have flow sensors. I think there's quarter-inch flow sensors, very small, and or GSM module. I won't give you the parts list for that for a particular reason. And we're using some capacitive soil sensors, so you can go and do your research or random questions and ask us, why did you choose to use that? And I don't want you to just ask questions just to ask questions for the fun of it, because I want, when I answer your question, you actually fact check me, you know? Don't let me sell you a puss in a bag, please, right? If I'm not explaining something clear enough, if we're not explaining something clear enough, point it out. If we're not explaining something that you can source, point it out. Because on the day, we will be in a shark tank, and the sharks won't be kind. So I am asking you for your help. I really need your help. I really need your help on this one. Alright? As I said, I don't know if I said this before, we will be answering your questions via video, because it's not that we think we're the best or we look the best or whatever. It's just that this is one of the best ways how to prepare yourself. You know? I don't know if you guys do this, but I'm big on TED Talks. So one of the key things to do when you're preparing for a TED Talk is that you don't have the presentation in your mind, but you actually act out the presentation before that TED Talk or that presentation. So you might find me before the mirror, signing, doing talking, and video is very good for that because not everyone can talk or present on video properly, right? And if you can present on video properly, or if I can get your attention on video, then I can more than likely get your attention in a room. Yes, so May 13th, add it on your calendar. May 14th, add it on your calendar. Either one of those days. If I go that day and you don't see anything coming, please slide up, say, hey, where's the video? This video will not be edited today. I'm gonna just be posting this raw cut video. Maybe just merge them together. Because I am sick and I'm just gonna lie down and sleep right now. I do have 2 apps to create, so I might do that now. But hey, thank you for your time, and I hope I was successful in whetting your appetite, and that you're here with me on the 13th or the 14th. Enjoy the rest of your night or day or morning or even wherever you are in whatever part of the world, and we'll see you on the 13th.